You want anything else?
Yes. Rope.
Back in 2020, Jamie Dornan, the actor who brought Christian Grey to life in the 50 Shades movies, sat down with Variety and opened up about the possibility of the story continuing on the big screen. At the time, he reflected on his career and how the franchise shaped it, even though he suggested he probably wouldn't like to revisit a role like that again. He described the series as something that existed in its own unique world, one that people cared about deeply while it lasted. According to him, it felt like a complete experience, something that was done and dusted. But here's the thing, just because Dornan felt that way in 2020 doesn't mean the door is completely shut. If anything, the continued interest from fans and the huge commercial success of the trilogy proved that the series still has plenty of potential. Even though critics weren't always kind to the movies, largely because of the explicit intimacy and the way BDSM was portrayed, the films pulled in over $1 billion worldwide. That kind of success is hard to ignore, and it shows that audiences still connect with Christian and Anastasia's story in a big way. The trilogy itself follows Christian Grey, the wealthy and mysterious businessman, and Anastasia Steele, the college student who interviews him and gets swept up in a whirlwind romance filled with passion, complications, and personal growth. By the time 50 Shades Freed wrapped up their story, fans had already started asking, is this really the end? Could there be more to explore? The truth is, there are plenty of reasons to think a 50 Shades 4 could still happen. For one thing, the movies didn't cover everything the books offered, and there's much of untapped potential that could easily be adapted. Plus, author E.L. James didn't stop with the original trilogy. She expanded the story by writing it all over again, but this time from Christian's point of view. And that opens the door wide for a fresh perspective on screen. Let's start with the first of those companion novels, Grey, 50 Shades of Grey, as told by Christian. Released in 2015, this book retells the story of the original 50 Shades of Grey, but through Christian's eyes. It gives readers a front row seat to his inner world, his vulnerabilities, and his thought process, all of which make his character feel even more layered. Fans loved getting a glimpse into his head because it offered insights we never got from Anna's perspective. But it doesn't stop there. Grey is actually just the beginning of a trilogy of retellings. The second book, Darker, came out in 2017 and showed the events of 50 Shades Darker from Christian's viewpoint. And the third, Freed, was released in 2021, bringing his perspective on the final installment. Taken together, these three novels basically offer a whole new way to experience the 50 Shades story. Now imagine if these books were adapted for film. A potential fourth movie could draw inspiration from them, giving us the story we already know but with fresh angles, more depth, and a deeper emotional pull. It wouldn't have to feel like a simple retread because Christian's perspective naturally brings new conflicts, doubts, and emotions that audiences haven't fully explored on screen. This would give longtime fans something exciting and new, while still staying rooted in the world they love. And let's not forget that 50 Shades Freed ended with hints about what's to come in Christian and Anna's lives. That's another reason a sequel makes so much sense. It could pick up right where the story left off and explore how the couple handles the next chapter of their relationship. One possible direction for 50 Shades 4 could be to focus on their life as new parents. At the end of the trilogy, Anna and Christian welcome their son Theodore, affectionately nicknamed Teddy. A sequel could dive into the joys and challenges of raising a child while maintaining a marriage that's already been tested by so many ups and downs. Parenthood could bring new conflicts, but also opportunities for growth, both individually and as a couple. Anna's journey could be especially compelling in this context. She's now a mother, but she's also working at Grey Publishing, taking on more professional responsibilities than ever. Balancing motherhood with her career could add new layers to her character. Perhaps she faces conflicts with colleagues, unexpected shakeups in the publishing world, or even professional rivalries that push her to grow stronger and more confident. Christian, meanwhile, could be grappling with his own insecurities about being a father. Given his complicated past, the idea of raising a child might bring old fears to the surface. The film could show him working through those struggles, perhaps with Anna's support, and finding ways to break the cycle of pain that haunted him as a child. This would not only deepen his character, but also highlight his growth since we first met him in 50 Shades of Grey. To keep the drama alive, a fourth movie could also introduce a new antagonist or conflict. Maybe someone from Christian's business past resurface, bringing threats or personal vendettas that put strain on the couple's relationship. That kind of external tension could raise the stakes and remind fans that even though Christian and Anna's love is strong, life will always test them in unexpected ways. The sequel could also lean into the family dynamics we've already come to enjoy. Elliot and Kate, who are married and raising a daughter of their own, could have a bigger role, adding warmth, humor, and relatability to the story. Their presence would balance out the darker elements and remind viewers of the importance of a strong support system. By the end of the film, the story could culminate in a heartfelt celebration, something like Teddy's second birthday that brings family and friends together. This would be the perfect way to show how far Anna and Christian have come, how their love has endured, and how they're building a future together. It would also leave fans with a sense of closure while still leaving the door open for more if the franchise ever wanted to return again. Of course, a fourth movie wouldn't necessarily need to follow the Told by Christian novels directly. Even if it only borrowed elements from them, there's so much room to expand on themes that the films only touched on. For example, one of the biggest differences between the books and the movies was the omission of Anna's inner goddess. In the novels, her inner goddess was a recurring way of expressing impulses and emotions, but in the films, Dakota Johnson portrayed Anna's feelings more subtly. The choice worked for the screen, but a sequel could continue to develop Anna's emotional depth in creative ways, keeping that focus on nuanced, character-driven storytelling. Another change worth revisiting is the BDSM contract. In the books, it's a detailed, formal agreement that extends far beyond the bedroom, which sparked debates about power and control. The film simplified it, making it less intimidating and more accessible. A sequel could revisit this in a more nuanced way, exploring the ethical considerations of Christian and Anna's lifestyle while still keeping it relatable to a broad audience. And then there's Christian's therapy. In the books, his therapist, Dr. Flynn, is mentioned often, serving as a sounding board for his struggles and helping him process trauma. The films, however, barely touched on this, which felt like a missed opportunity. Showing Christian in therapy in a fourth movie could be powerful, especially because it would break stereotypes about men avoiding mental support. It would highlight his growth and show that true strength comes from being willing to confront your issues head-on. When you think about it, all of these elements add up to a very strong case for 50 Shades 4. What do you think? Should 50 Shades 4 explore Christian's perspective, their life as parents, or maybe both? Let us know what you'd love to see in a sequel.